There is one thing that I will forever and ever and ever be grateful to all the bloggers that I read when I first started my business. Because when I very first started my business 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago, I started with just a blog. I wanted to blog because I started teaching and I was like, oh my gracious, it is so difficult to find activities and things to do with my kiddos, and especially things that were available for free. And I was already so many steps ahead of other people that I graduated with, because there were a lot of people who ended up teaching elementary music in the same district that I did, but they majored in like trumpet, or they were gonna teach band to high school. Like, they didn't go with the intent of teaching elementary school, and that's totally fine. But what happens is, you know, you spend all your time learning about band and instruments or choir and that kind of stuff. You're gonna do this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden they put you in front of a bunch of kindergartners and you're like, I don't know what to do with these. Like, kindergartners are not the same as 12th graders, so I don't really know how they certify us, but that's neither here nor there. I was so appalled at how underprepared people were when they got to these positions and just had no idea what to do. And I didn't know much either, but I wanted to help. And so I started a blog where I could just share, you know, pretty much anything that I learned that worked. Like, if I did it, it worked. I was like, let me tell you about it, which is pretty much how I've run my whole business. It's pretty much how I operate my life. I'm like, this thing worked, go do it. So I started my blog, and as I did that, you know, obviously I was like reading about different blog things and checking things out and trying to figure out things. And every blogger said the first thing you should do is start your email list. And I was like, I don't want to send emails. Like, what are you talking about? But they said to do it, and I am a very good student, and so I did it. I was like, all right, whatever, I'll start my email list. And so I signed up with MailChimp. I was like, I don't even remember if I must have given you something for free. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I made some sort of freebie to send to people, and in every blog post I would write and I would say, hey, if you want to get this free access to free lessons, you know, click here and you can get that. And I would send them to my landing page. Then I pretty much forgot about it. I put it in every blog post near the top so people would see it, but I really didn't think much about it until a few months later when I looked and I saw that I had 50 email subscribers. Like, what in the world? I had no idea because I wasn't really keeping track of it, honestly. It was just something that I put in there because I was like, well, I have an email list, so I might as well promote my email list. And so I just posted it, and I wasn't sending any emails yet. But that little list has grown into a whole other thing. That little, you know, let me put a little line in these blog posts. So I was like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So that little email list, that little line that I put in all my blog posts has turned into 16,000 people who are on my email list that I get to send emails to. Now, do they read all my emails? No. But you know what? None of my students listen to me either. So it is what it is. But having that email list that I started back then has made all the difference in the world, because email has brought such a huge return on my time investment and eventually money investment. I started with a free list, but once I hit like a certain, you know, amount of contacts, I had to pay for it. But money and time wise, it has shown to be such a huge return on my investment. I make so much more money than I lose in paying for my email list, or that I lose in time from doing my email list. It over and over and over has just been such a huge source of revenue, and it has completely changed the way I do business, because now not only like, yeah, I can send things to people, but I also get so many other benefits that we're going to talk about here in this video. So if you're starting your TPT journey, or you're like newer and you're like, what should I do? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you should start an email list. Now, we're going to talk kind of like what you should do if you're brand new, but we're also going to talk about the benefits of email lists and why they're so stinking amazing. So yeah. Now, before we get into this, I do want to say two things. Number one, obviously I don't have the most giant email list ever in the whole entire world. that's okay. You don't have to have a giant email list in order to make money from email. You like, really, you don't. I started actively noticing that my emails made a difference money-wise when I hit about 200 to 300 subscribers. Like, I would notice and be like, man, I've got a lot more sales today than normal. And then I realized, oh, today I sent an email. That's what happened. So you don't need a ginormous email list. I know there's some people who have, you know, talk about email and they have like 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, and that's great. That's not me. The other thing about the smaller email list is that I do have a very niche audience in that I teach elementary music. So I don't have as many people who could be on my email list as a kindergarten teacher or a first grade teacher or any of those kind of things. So do bear that in mind when I tell you about my personal numbers, that even without a giant email list, you don't need hundreds of thousands of people to make money with an email list. You can start small. Now, secondly, I wanted to give you a little bit of a freebie. So if you click the link down below, I am going to share with you a little presentation that shares like how to start an email list. If you're like, I need to start, I don't know what to do, you can look at it and it's like, do this, then do this, then do this. Some of it is typed, some of it is videos from my YouTube channel. So you can check that one out in the link down below. It also includes, even especially if you're like, oh, I already started an email list, that's okay. That's okay, I wanna help you too. So it also includes all the copy you need for a welcome sequence. So that's the first couple of emails that you can send. So like what to send right when someone signs up for your email, and then a couple days later and a couple days later. You can definitely add to it and make it more, but it's at least a start so that you can take it and, you know, change it and get different things out of it and different value out of it. So click the link down below to grab that if you are new especially, but even if you're, you know, have already been doing email, you can at least maybe check out the welcome sequence and see if it helps. And yeah, with that, let's talk about the benefits of an email list. So in a world of TikTok and of Instagram and of YouTube and of all of these things, you're probably over there like, Becca, do I really need an email list? And the answer is yes. So there's quite a few reasons that you do need an email list, even with all these other things going on, because it's so important. I just really want to tell you, like, it is so important. So if you're like, I don't know, you need it. First of all, monetarily, let me actually grab my little data notebook and give you some real physical numbers, because y'all know how I feel about data. I just want to share all of the things all of the time. Okay, so I have not done this month yet, so I am not the most consistent with my data, and I don't always write the same things down. But a year ago from now, last year in April, I made $1,246.42 from my email list. In September 2023, I made $1,230.86, and then in October, I made $1,183.60. Those are all figures of people who just clicked on a link in my email and purchased immediately from TPT. That's not including people who put things on their wish list, put things in their cart, and then purchased it once they got to school, looked at it later. It's not counting people who went from my email list to my blog and then purchased something. It's not counting the $40,000 that I made in courses last year that was almost entirely from people on my email list. So having an email list, number one, is a huge profit source. For reference, with my email list as big as it is, I spend about $300 on my email every month, which I know is really high. It doesn't start there, but I do have multiple audiences, so that also, like, I was only giving you figures for Becca's Music Room, not anything else, even though I have 3 different audiences worth of people on my email list, so just be aware of that as well. The monetary return on an email is insane. Okay, so first of all, the first reason you should do email is it has the biggest ROI. That is so much better than anything else that I do, especially when you think about the time. How long does it really take you to write an email? Okay, it's not hours and hours and hours. You're not spending all day every day writing emails. So the return on it is really crazy. So number one reason you need an email list is that the ROI is super, super, super high. ROI, by the way, stands for return on investment. Investment could be time or it could be money. So just FYI, that's what I was talking about. Number 2 is that with an email list, that is actually something you own. Now you do have to go through a service provider, so you need to go to MailChimp or ConvertKit or something like that. You can't just send it like from your Gmail because they have to be able to unsubscribe, but you own your list. Like, that is your list. It's not MailChimp's list. It's not ConvertKit's list. It is my list. I own it and it is mine and I can take it with me. I don't own my Instagram subscribers. Followers, what do we even call them over there? I don't even know. I don't even own my YouTube subscribers. Like, I can't go and check y'all out and like, you know, send you emails. That's not a thing I can do here. If YouTube was like, we're done with her, and like clicked my videos off, what would I do? If you don't have an email list, you don't have anything to do. This is really, really, really important if you were around last year for the huge TBT algorithm changes, followed shortly by TBT deleting some people's accounts. If you were here for all that, hopefully we're through most of that, but it really was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people of like, oh, I don't own TBT. I don't own these platforms, and I'm putting all my eggs in this basket and I don't own it. And so you want to make sure that you are making sure you are owning that which you are putting your efforts into. So if you have an email list and something happens and TBT shuts down, heaven forbid, you can send them you can open a store on Etsy and send them over there. You can do something, like, you can do that because you own the email list and you're not subject to algorithm changes and you're not subject to randomly things being shut down. Like, you're not subject to those things because you own your list. It is yours. And I do recommend, by the way, backing it up every once in a while. It's just FYI, just in case. So it has really high ROI and you own your list, which is huge, because don't you want to be in charge of your own destiny? I do, personally. I'm like, and that was another thing from the beginning. I was like, I don't want all of my everything determined by someone else. Like, I don't want my money determined by the TBT algorithm. Like, I'm gonna send my own traffic, and so I am really big on those things as well. Speaking of sending traffic, number 3 is you can send traffic to your store. This is huge because you can actively change your views. If you're like, I am, you know, if I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no traffic going to my store, I can send an email and then that changes immediately. Or if you're ready to do something different, if you want to launch a course, you've got people who can buy the course. If you have an affiliate thing you're doing, you can send people to that. If you want to start a podcast or start a YouTube channel, like, you can send people to those things, and you now already have an audience built in that you can move to where you want to go. You can send them places and they will go. Not all of them, but a lot of them will. And that is powerful. So you want to make sure that you've got that, because when I was ready to launch a course, it wouldn't have worked if I didn't have people to send it to, because TBT has like built-in search capabilities, but where you build courses, typically it's not. It's usually like you get kind of your own little course website, and so people aren't like searching for it. So if I didn't have people to send to it, I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I wouldn't have been able to help people in that way, which is like such an intense way to help people, which is fabulous, and then also would not have made that money, which would also be sad. So we really want to make sure that you can send traffic. It's also really helpful in the sales. When people tell me that their like sales days are not that great, I'm like, well, did you send any emails? Because if you didn't, you don't get to complain about a TBT site-wide sale not going well. You need to send traffic to your TBT site-wide sale. TBT actually released some figures, I was shocked by this, that said that they have less sales on a sale day than they do on a non-sale day. And I thought that was insane, because my sales on a sale day are at least twice as much as normal, usually more like 3 or even 4 times as much as normal. So if you're not getting sales on a sale day, it's because you need to send people over there, which means you need an email list. So email lists are super important. They're a huge return on your investment of time and money. You own it, so you have a lot more autonomy in your business. You can send traffic different places, which opens up the entire world to you, because you can do whatever you want. I mean, within reason, obviously, but if you want to write a book, if you want to create a course, like, there's so many more things you can do than if you're stuck on TBT with no way to talk to anyone. And finally, speaking of that, you have people to talk to. If I'm like, should I do something this way or this way? I sent an email to my people and I'm like, hey, reply to this email and let me know what you think. Hey, do you want to do this? When I was publishing my first book, which was The Happier Teacher Life, I think it technically was my second book, but it was the one that was actually supposed to be a book. I sent it to people early. I was like, hey, you know, let me know if you want to see this early. I'll give it to you for free and you can let me know what you think and anything that needs to be changed. And it was super helpful that I had someone to talk to when I was creating a course. I was like, hey, reply to this email, let me know what you think. Or I'll send them, sometimes I'll send like a Google form. And a lot of times I'll send a Google form and then for people who fill it out, I'll do like a Starbucks gift card raffle for, you know, 3 to 5 of the people. I won't send it to everybody because hopefully you get a lot of responses and you can't do that. But I'll send it to a couple of people. I'll do like a raffle and those people will get, you know, a Starbucks gift or Target or whatever. I like Starbucks because, I was gonna say, because you can just do $5 and it'll cover someone, but it really doesn't anymore. So usually I do 10, but so that's something that you can do. Like you have people to talk to and it's not just like posting something into the abyss and being like, here's a product. But instead you get to talk to people and they can tell you what they need and they can reply to you and they can ask you questions and it's so helpful. So I hope I've sold you on the email list. Let's talk about your next steps. Now your next steps are going to depend on where you're at in this process. First of all, again, click that link below to get that free stuff to help you get started or move forward. But secondly, you want to create your landing page. This is where people go to actually type their emails in. Then you need to send them to that landing page from somewhere else. So they're not just gonna find your landing page randomly. But if you have a blog, an email, social media, all of those things, put the link to your email list in there and send people over there. You wanna have something free that you can give to them in exchange. It's kind of like payment. You know, you give me your email, I give you something for free. And so you have all of those things available to you. And so you can get started that way. Now, if you are super new and you're like, I have nothing, my suggestion would be to actually put the link to your email list in your products. So go ahead and make your product, and I always like a cover on my products because I just think it looks nice. And then the second page, you could be like, hey, you want to get this product for free? Click here. And then you can also, I usually say, and you'll also get weekly emails sent to your inbox or something along those lines so that they know I am going to email them. I don't want them to be like shocked when I do that. You know, unsubscribe anytime. But you can put that in your products and you're not gonna get, listen, you're not gonna get tons of email signups originally. I told you I did my blog for like 6 months before I got like 50 email subscribers. And frankly, I feel like 50 for 6 months is really stinking good because my views were not that great. So you are not gonna get a ton of signups at the beginning, but that's actually really good because first of all, you want to make sure you have that because once you are established, you don't want to be established and then starting an email list because then you're going to be like starting over from zero. So if you already have a couple people on your email list and it's not just your mom, you have someone to send things to, and that is powerful. So once I saw, I was like, oh my gosh, I have 50 email subscribers. I started sending emails. Now, would it have been better if I'd said them from the beginning? Yes, but I didn't do that. So instead, once I got to 50, I started sending my emails. And so that really helps because then you get in the habit of it in a low stakes environment. If you have 200,000 people on your email list, there's a lot of pressure to write good emails and you're probably not gonna be good at it at the beginning. I'm just saying. So if you only have a few people on your email list, go ahead and start creating the habit of sending emails and writing those emails and get better at sending them and create a system, and you can do all those things once you have a few people, and you just need a few people on your email list. So if you're brand new, I wouldn't stress a lot about it. Make your landing page, put the link in your products. If you have some sort of content, whether that's social media or long form content, put it there. If not, just put in your products, and you're not gonna get a ton of people who sign up. Just being honest, you're not gonna get tons and tons of people. It's not gonna be like overnight you have millions of people on your email list, but you want to go ahead and start so that you can grow. Because I started 7 years ago because someone told me to. They were like, do this as soon as you start. And I was like, all right, whatever. you probably know more than I do, so sure, whatever. And so I started, and if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have gotten those first 50 email subscribers, and I wouldn't have gotten to 100, and I wouldn't have gotten to 200, and I wouldn't have gotten to 16,000. And my whole business would be completely different if I didn't have an email list. So I want to be that person for you, that those random bloggers, I couldn't even tell you what their names are anymore. So I apologize to all of those people that it was. I want to be that person for you, and I want to tell you, go start your email list. You will thank me later. I promise. And if you have questions, we're going to talk a lot about email coming forward, but I'll go ahead and link the like email playlist down below so that you can go ahead and watch anything that's already there. And also, if you have questions, I would love to hear them. The best way to contact me is to send me an Instagram message at becca.e.davis. You can also leave a comment. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really good at responding to comments because your girl has a full-time job and like 3 businesses, and I am in charge of a whole ministry at church, and I just got a lot going on, and so I'm not very good at the YouTube comments. I'm trying. I'm just kind of failing right now. So just FYI, it's not that I don't want to talk to you, it's just that I'm really busy. So send me an Instagram message. I'm gonna see that much more likely. The dogs are barking, so I think that's signifying the end of our video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.